Thank you very much for staying with us. It is now time for us to take you through our discussion segment. And of course, this morning we have been joined by a guest to help us make sense out of what we'll be talking about this morning. And of course, our focus today is the CBN as they declared through Emefiele, the governor of Central Bank, the condition of the old note, which is now a legal tender. Like I said, the focus will be on CBN this morning, and we have a guest in the studio who is a legal practitioner, Jideo Logo, who will be taking us all through this and helping us see the legal aspect of the decision taken by the president as at yesterday. Thank you for joining us, Jideo Logo, in the program.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
How are you doing, sir?
Excellent.
All right, I can see that.
Good.
All right, let's go straight into business because we are really pressed for time. As at yesterday, the president broke silence. This is 10 days after the court, the Supreme Court, I beg your pardon, gave their verdict concerning the condition of the old notes. 10 days after the president came out, as at yesterday, to make two statements. Now talking about the condition of the old notes, meaning that the old notes, 200 Naira, 500 Naira, 1,000 Naira, should be sent back to circulation and they become legal tender till December 31st, 2023. Also stating that he never gave any order to the Attorney General of the Federation and the CBN to disobey any court order, and he himself is not to be seen in that light. Now, looking at all of these, first and foremost, how does this really portray the president?
Let's start from the angle of delegation. A former governor of Lagos State said at the time that may your loyalty not be tested. And that is the case of Emefiele now and the Attorney General of Federation. Loyalty to the president or loyalty to the nation. And you can see the president now smartly, protecting himself from some ugly consequences of being branded as a president that disregarded the rule of law during his tenure. And that is why Shehu Gaba, as his spokesperson, came out to paint the picture that the president never disregarded court orders, he respects the rule of law, and that he should not be castigated. So now, what the president has done is to say, the Attorney General of the Federation, you know your job. I'm not a lawyer, you are the lawyer. Governor of Central Bank, you are the governor of CBN that should be able to say what is legal tender or not. And you should understand the decision of the Supreme Court. And so why should I be the one to make you to obey? Have I told you not to obey? And the critical issue here is that in law, we say that you cannot approbate and reprobate. The president approbated to himself, coming out to give an instruction after the first interim order given by the Supreme Court, that okay, out of the 200 Naira old bills, the 1,000 old bills, and 500, let 200 go back to circulation. And CBN followed. So perhaps CBN was also waiting for the president. And that is why we need to clearly define rules. And what has happened now is that the interests of the people have been, considered, because we were trying to swim through the murky waters of economic recession. We are now in economic depression, except we want to deceive ourselves. But the argument is still there from the presidency that that policy was meant to fight corruption, to fight terrorism, and stuff like that. But we agreed that this policy may have good intentions, but how it was implemented, has knocked off all the good intentions, and a level of damage has been done to the Nigerian economy that will take us a while
right now
to recover from.
Yes, I was about saying that because you said the interests of Nigerians have finally been considered. And I feel, looking at my conversation with people out there, they keep saying that to the extent at which this policy has affected the lives of Nigerians, that I might not be able to understand it. That a lot of people have almost gone from hand to mouth just because they cannot have access to this currency. And of course, if the president, knowing fully well that he is going to take side, with the Supreme Court, why did he stay this long? That's my question.
Again, I think in Africa, leadership sometimes operate behind the smoke screen. I read a report that the president was apologizing to the citizens in his state, Katsina State, that he didn't know that that policy created hardship.
That's serious.
So maybe sometimes leadership operates in what we call helicopter view in management. You see, when you are above if you are about 18,000 feet above the sea level, you won't see the traffic on Oshodi Expressway.
But just a moment. But these set of people, I'm talking about the leaders, our government, they have handles on social media. Don't they see comments and reactions of Nigerians?
It's not everyone that is like Donald Trump, who handles his Twitter account and things personally. Some leaders do not have time for all this. And that is the truth. And you see, the luxury, the ambience, the deception around some political offices in Nigeria, you need to move close to them to realize what they are going through. Let me challenge you that if you stay in an environment where the road is bad, if the governor announces that he is visiting that place in 2 weeks, that road will be fixed by the local government. Where they get the money and how it is done is nobody's business. And these are things we need to deal with. And it is the responsibility of the leader to connect with the people. Let me use the example of China. China has about 1.4 billion population, out of which about 800 million have been moved out of poverty within 40 years. And what China has done is to create what is called two miracles. The miracle number one is rapid development, economic development. The second one is social stability. Do you know there was an election in China on the 10th of March 2023? Many people did not know. That is the power of the stability. You see, I think the GDP of China is about $73.4114 trillion. You see, about 84 GDP per capita. So you see the World Bank rating about China for 2021 or so, the second richest nation in the world. You see, so when you put all this together, and you know that there's some kind of leadership across the world focus on the people. And that's why you hear People's Republic of China. But in our own, is this a nation where people cry, they jump, knock their heads on the wall, protest, and despite all this, it's like you have granite in a bottle, you close it, and you put it before a fowl. How will the fowl eat the granite? We have serious issues in Africa. It's amazingly damaging.
So I'm going to take you. I'm going to butt in here because I'm going to take you, basically on all the points you just marshaled out. First, you talked about the president, very skillful enough to exonerate himself, especially when it comes to issues that has to do with obeying the court order, especially from the judiciary. And of course, you made mention of integrity. I mean, loyalty. You said, may your loyalty not be tested. And of course, you still went down again to mention a whole lot of issues. First of all, the president trying to exonerate himself, making it not seem that he is somebody who does not in any way respect the law. My question is, as long as this administration is concerned, we have always, for the choice of the right word to use, begged the president sometimes to react, to debunk, or sometimes to implement a policy or an order given from the angle of the judiciary. And it takes him so long for him to even move a motion or even make a statement as regards that. Why have we always had that kind of situation? I can give cases even down to El Zanzaki. The court at some point in time asked the president to release this man. The president still refused. Yet he's coming out after 10 days to say through his special advisor, which is Gaba Shehu, that the president has never defied or even instructed the AG or the CBN governor to defy court orders. Yet, why did it take this long? Secondly, whose loyalty, who is he pledging loyalty to? Is it to Nigerians? I mean, the CBN governor, is it to Nigerians or to the president?
You know, on the test of integrity, really, if we were to be in another climate, Governor Emefiele should no longer be the governor of Central Bank for even venturing, contesting for the presidency seat. At that point in time, conflict of interest came in. So in some climes, he would have resigned, even without any citizen speaking about it. But we allowed it. He himself, at the time, was paraded to be wanted by DSS for sponsoring terrorism. And it's all about the system we operate. And coming to the president, the unitary presidential system we run has put so much power in the office of the president. Let me use the example of an air flight. Sometimes I've met the pilots at the airport, boarding gates, come with their bags, with the air hostesses and hosts. You admire them, they go. But I have never interacted one-on-one with a pilot within the aircraft. He steps up there, he moves to the left, the cockpit, where the engine room is, and you move to the right to go and sit down. And you are now engaged by the air hostess. So it's when you are running into a storm that the pilot will have to announce and things like that. So we need a system that operates. Constitutionally, CBN is autonomous and should be responsible to carry out the mandate of office. And that is why we say what should have been done was not done. Brilliant policy. I mean, anything you need to do to curb terrorism, to curb corruption. In fact, Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says that the state shall abolish corrupt practice and abuse of office. So whatever you need to do, but think it through. In public relations, we talk about stakeholders engagement, consultations. Consult so that you don't start a project that fails. Obviously, this project has failed, no matter how good intentions were. And these are issues. And the president cannot be exonerated. He is the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And the office of the president is coined out of presiding over the management of Nigeria. And for this purpose, you have ministry, departments, and agencies that are expected to support him to drive his vision. You see, so, and it's really disturbing.
So when you talk about the fact that the CBN is autonomous, which means it has its own will
to be able to put up policies that will drive the economy. It means that he's not in any way going to be loyal to the president at all costs, especially when it comes to cases from the Supreme Court.
He should not be loyal to the president. He should be loyal to the nation first.
So in
then
this
by
case,
extension to the president who is presiding over the affairs of the nation towards enhancing the fortunes of the people.
So why did it take the CBN governor to take the part or toe the part of the Supreme Court, especially with regards to allowing the old notes to remain legal tender?
You know, there are two personalities here now. The Attorney General of the Federation. Maybe if you were the Attorney General of the Federation, 3 hours after the declaration of the Supreme Court, you would have spoken on behalf of the president by virtue of your office that, hey, Mr. Emefiele, please release the fund. The Supreme Court has spoken. But like I said, they may still need to go and sit down with the president, either in Daura or in Aso Villa, Daoga. What do we do? No. You need to set things in order. I like using illustrations. When I got to JFK Airport in New York to go and get the trolley to move my bags, all I did was to slot in the dollar bill, got my change, dislodged. I did not go and look for the Minister of Aviation, or you know what I mean, or the general manager of the facilities. If things must work, set them in order to work. If CBN must be CBN, according to Section 20 of the CBN Act, CBN is mandated as the only body to declare what is legal tender. If CBN comes now to say this cup here is legal tender, so be it. You see, so these are issues we need to clarify. We need to define the extent of presidential interventions.
It's
important.
If you feel, as someone who is a legal practitioner, the CBN has that authority to come out and tell the public what a legal tender is, and the CBN running to the president to take directive, don't you think that in that light, the CBN has failed in its responsibility? And that's one. Two, you are aware that some states are embarking on taking the federal government to court as against contempt of law. Do you think, as it stands now, that the president has made a speech yesterday, do you think that will in itself hold water?
You know, the president has spoken, directly or indirectly, because he has those who can speak for him. And the money is expected to be released. So CBN has no choice now. The old notes and the new notes must cohabit till the 31st of December. And don't forget, by the special grace of God, on the 29th of May, the president-elect will be sworn in. And as the president, he can now come out to carry out sufficient consultation to know what the people need. What you want is different from what you need.
Sure.
You see, and change that policy. So the policies of the country are basically and majorly under the influence of the president. Talking about the Nigerian situation. You see, and this is a serious matter. And that's why you heard people talking about rubber stamp, National Assembly, and things like that. There is nothing wrong about it if we have the positive impact in the society. Because if you look at Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew did not run a democracy. The man said, we are going on a journey to become developed. I'm going to be, but you see, the word of God says, by their fruits, you know them. You see, so, I mean, and it honestly, what has happened in this country in the last few weeks, let me intentionally say weeks, it can make you to weep.
So should these states, just a moment, should the states who have actually come out to say they want to sue the president, do you think they should still go ahead and do that?
What were they going to do in court? To sue for contempt. What is contempt? Disobeying
court orders.
The directive of the court. And let us argue over the technicalities, whether you can sue CBN in Supreme Court. Those things are theoretical arguments. They are obvious. You want to sue CBN, start from the Federal High Court. States can sue Federation. Supreme Court is the court of first and final jurisdiction, and states decided to sue Federation on a policy carried out by CBN. And it reminds me of a story, very disheartening story. A man fainted on the street, and those who came could help him get first aid. But they decided to place a bet. One said he will survive, the other said he will die. And the guy eventually died. Of what purpose is that bet token? That's what we are. You see, governance is about the people. Your people. And that's why I took the time to bring in the example of China. I just said it now. Go and Google it. There was an election in China. Is anybody going to court? Are people protesting? Are people? We are far from development.
Now, with all of this that you just mentioned, what's the impact it's going to have on the economy right now and even after the elections?
You know, God is God. You know, one thing that gives me very great hope in Nigeria is the abundant resources that we have. So the moment we have resourceful engagement of our resources, you'll be amazed at how God can turn things around. And of course, we believe so much in precedents and law. If you look at what transformation took place in Rwanda, you will know that Nigeria is great. I'm very hopeful that, you know, with the resourceful engagement of our resources, and we banish all this ethnocentric approach to, you know, national affairs. You know, the motto of the country says unity, faith, peace, and progress. And I keep challenging leadership. Those who steal our oil, are they all from just one ethnic group? Let's stop deceiving ourselves. We talk about religion. The UAE is managed by Muslims. There's prosperity there. Yes. I know that the President of America is a Christian, but was religion the major debate? Yeah. It was about competence. Come and manage.
A lot of businesses have been affected as a result of this cash crunch.
Not only businesses, even government operations.
And personal life.
Yeah.
Now, what's the look like? What's going to be the outlook as we move towards the election?
Election?
Yes.
Election we hold now. you know, people will have to sit back, and I keep advising people, if I'm going to vote, I will vote for stability. Stability. You know, we've gone through a lot of deceptions, unfulfilled promises, things like that. And I thank God for the last general elections in Nigeria. People may complain about some hitches and things like that, but I believe that ballots are beginning to speak louder now. And like Abraham Lincoln, a one-time American president, said the ballot is stronger than the bullet. So I think leadership is beginning to realize that, yes, sovereignty actually belongs to the people as enshrined in Section 14 of our Constitution. So going forward, I expect that leaders will be challenged to deliver to us. We are not beggars in our nation. No. Leadership is to serve. But
the reverse have always been the case, where Nigerians have to beg, especially for what is right. Now, how does this, pans out, especially for Buhari, who will be leaving office in a very short while from now? In the eyes of Nigerians and, of course, the international community, how would they view him, especially when it comes to court orders, especially when it comes to he's saying that he is not aware or did not in any way give directive to the Supreme, to the CBN, and of course to the AG to defy court orders?
See, I cannot judge my president, but I think I've been saying this for about 3 years now, that history is in a room taking record of events. History cannot be arrested. Interestingly, the president has come out that he never instructed CBN to disobey the order of Supreme Court. I quite agree with him.
But why did it take them this long? 10 days.
But it should be recorded in history that when President Muhammadu Buhari was the president of Nigeria, so happened. There was a Naira swap policy that brought hardship of the people. Reference will be made to beheading of fishermen in Borno State. Reference will be made to the carnage in the Middle Belt, Benue State. Reference will be made to the attack of the railway lines. Reference will be made to the fact that he completed some train tracks, railway projects, constructed some roads. So, and that is why we should all be careful. History is not into politics. History is to document. You see, so I've not been given any brief to judge my president. And even if I'm given that assignment, I will say he has done his best. But what is the reflection in the society? And let me give you a caution. When you are surrounded by people, be careful. The elders have a saying that you only know the people you love. You don't know those who love you. I've said it. Shortly after my president and commander-in-chief, whom I respect so much, is out of office, you start reading some things. You know, after somebody left Aso Villa, he was telling us there are demons in Aso Villa, but he cohabited with the demons throughout the tenure of being there. And that is the point we need to come to. Those of us who come out to say, to advocate for national development, it's not as if you know what I mean. It's just that by the grace of God, we've seen how things work in some places, and we know what Nigerians deserve. I have said it. By virtue of the resources God has given this nation, we should not work for more than 3 days in a week and still enjoy life. As we speak now, we are talking about oil theft. We are talking about gas flaring. We are talking about a mineral that has been discovered around Sambisa Forest that they are using terrorism to cover up, that should be bringing us billions. We are talking of losing $10 billion to subsidy. You know, we are talking about various things. The project that started in 1976, the Ajaokuta steel rolling mill, has gulped about $10 billion in recent years. It's just there. You know, so you just begin to ask yourself that we need help. But interestingly, President Muhammadu Buhari, my commander-in-chief of the armed forces, whom I respect, has less than 3 months to step on from Aso Villa. And he himself said at a time that he desired to be recorded on the golden side of history. That's my wish for him, but I don't know how he's still going to attend to some of the issues that we have now. And one would have expected, like the elders say, that better is the end of a thing, it's even the word of God, than the beginning thereof. You see, so if Emefiele is to blame, I'm not blaming anybody. What if Attorney General is to be blamed? I'm not blaming anybody. They're all answerable to my president. What I'm saying is that please let people live in this country. The hardship is unbearable. And if we are going to embark on implementing any policy, can you kindly set the infrastructure in place? Look at INEC receiving different kinds of bashing from everywhere. I don't know whether you've experienced it. In my bank, for about 1.5 weeks, bank manager will tell me there is no money to give. You want to transfer on your phone, network problem. I went to a bank, they were telling me I could only transfer within the bank. So
I was about going there. We are very close to the elections coming up in on the 10th of this month. We understand that the whole idea about the policy surrounding the cash crunch is to, curb vote buying. Do you think, since the president has made a statement yesterday, saying that all old notes should be sent back to circulation and they become legal tender. Do you think one way or the other this will not encourage vote buying?
Today is Tuesday. I think 3rd of March was a Friday. The Supreme Court gave that order. And what I said, I'm repeating, that this is weekend. So how do you move the money to the, let's even assume, I think that was when the 200 Naira was to begin to circulate. And I was asking, the monies that some claim they have bonds and everything. So how will the money get to, and let me tell you, politicians have changed their ways. And I asked this question on a lighter mood. Towards 2019 election, people saw bullion van moving money. We didn't change Naira. Now we are changing Naira. We need to deal with our system in this country. And if I know politicians very well, it even saved them money. Do you know what has happened? For some of us, almost everywhere you go, welcome sir, we are 1,000. No money to give now. Everyone is, someone say that the town is not smiling. The town is weeping. So there is a crunch, economic lockdown.
So it's more of cash confiscation than cash scarcity.
According to one of the governors,
we'll be right back. Let's just go on this break, and then when we come back, the discussion continues. Please stay with us.